Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm going to be talking about Vladivostok. And as you can see from this map, Vladivostok is a part of Russia, but it wasn't always part of Russia. At one point, it used to be part of the Qing dynasty. And from this map shows territories lost by China during the Second Opium War. So what I wanted to talk about is whether China should claim Vladivostok as its own territory. This goes back in the 1860s when the French and the British were having an opium war with the Chinese. So I'm going to briefly go into the history a little bit. So as you can see here, historically Vladivostok used to be part of China's Qing dynasty and was known as Haishenwei. It was annexed by the Russian Empire in 1860 when China was defeated by the British and French forces in the Second Opium War. Since then, the area has been administered by Russia under the capital of Primorsky Krai. Both countries over the three different border agreements signed in 1991, 1994 and 2004. As part of these agreements, China received hundreds of islands in the area along the Arun, Amur and Ussuri rivers. In addition to this, China and Russian foreign ministers met in 2008 to further sign an additional treaty known as Sino-Russian Borderline Agreement, which marked the mutual recognition and acceptance of demarcation signed between both countries. So, the brief history about this is when the British and the French were attacking China in the Second Opium War, China did not want to have another front in that war, namely Russia. So Russia annexed that area, Vladivostok, while the Chinese were busy fighting the English and the French. So because the Chinese did not want to start another front, because they cannot fight, all these countries, they've literally been surrounded by the French, the British, and if they started another front with the Russians, the Chinese would be completely destroyed. So they decided to focus on the Chinese, focus on the French and the British, but they lost the war anyway. So as part of the treaty, the British and the French took over Hong Kong. And you know the rest from there. It's been a 100-year humiliation, and the Russians did take Vladivostok as part of that. So since then, obviously, China and Russia have had friendly relations recently, and are still having very good friendly relations. So I want to kind of discuss that and whether I think it's worth China claiming those lands, and what advantages and disadvantages are from claiming it. So as you know, China is having a lot of border issues at the moment. The most important border issues are in the South China Sea. So that's the most important border issues that China has at the moment, followed by India. In India, it has two mainly border issues, and also the East China Sea. There's some islands contested with Japan. So those are the three main border issues. There are other border issues China has, but they're not very important at the moment. The main ones are South China Sea, India, and the East China Sea. So here are my thoughts. My thoughts are, they're having a very friendly relations with Russia at the moment, and I think it's going to be very bad for China to bring it up at this moment in time, because at this moment in time there is a huge trade war going on with America, and there is a very good possibility that it could end up into a nuclear war. So I want to kind of show you this map here. Things can very escalate between America, Japan, things are day by day relations between America and China are getting worse and worse. So this could turn into a really major war, or if China takes Taiwan one day, for example, America could intervene, and there could be a nuclear war result of that. So what advantage does China have being friends with Russia? So if you look at this map, you can see that if America wanted to fire nuclear bombs at China, it can do it in three ways. One, it can do it via submarines. Two, it can do it from its ships. And number three, it can do it from American shores and fire nuclear bombs at China. So the advantages of having Russia as an ally is Russia's got a huge stockpile of nuclear weapons itself, and he also got huge stockpile of anti-nuclear missiles, cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, etc. And because Russia is so close to China, Russia can provide an umbrella over China. Not all of China, probably northern China, northern and eastern China, to kind of protect China if any nuclear bombs come. So if America kind of throw any nuclear bombs from its coast, Russia would be able to stop it. Also, Russia's got a huge navy. It's basically, so that means China will only need to focus on the southeast part of China and put all the anti-nuclear ballistic intercontinental missiles around the southern part. So that's one thing. So the other thing Russia provides China with is, in the next 10 years with the global warming, the ice will melt around the North Pole. So that would give a route for, it's called the Arctic Silk Road. So that will give a route for Chinese vessels to go through the Arctic Silk Road and come straight to Europe, and that avoids going through the long distance of via India, via the Middle East. So it avoids all of that traffic, and basically China's got a direct sea route straight to Europe. And that's going to happen in the next 10 years or so, but they need Russian cooperation to do this because, as you can see, a lot of it is Russian territory. So they need to work close with Russia for that. The other thing is, they got a huge trade. They got a huge trade thing going on because of the trade war with Russia, America. The trade with Russia is significantly moving up, and there could be a military alliance with Russia as well because, basically with Russia also being America's enemy, both China and Russia could cooperate militarily to counter America, and they are doing that at the moment. I mean, even though it's not officially spoken about, there is a military alliance going on between Russia and China. So that is good. And the other thing I was going to talk about is the gas pipelines which are going from Russia into China, and there's 2 gas pipelines going into there, and plus all the energy and oil that Russia provides to China. So I think with everything I've mentioned, it's very unlikely that China and Russia would bring up the Vladivostok issue, and it would be very unlikely or very unwise for China to tell Russia we want the Vladivostok back, because it could be at the cost of these good relations we're having at the moment, because China's main enemy is now America, and both Russia and China need to focus on the number one enemy, which is America. And maybe one day when China resolves the South China Sea issues, resolves the border issues with India, resolves the Taiwan issue, whether they, peacefully reunification or do it via force, once China resolves all these other major issues, number one issues like South China Sea, East China Sea in India and Taiwan, then maybe, 50, 100 years from now, maybe then China can kind of have a chat with Russia saying, oh, can we have Vladivostok back? What do how can we try and resolve this peacefully? Maybe then they can do that, but right now it's probably not a good idea. So I just wanted to talk about that really and my thoughts, and let me know in your comments what you think, and I'll chat to you guys soon. Bye.